Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 12 of the RLH Category 1 Season 6 Championship. Tonight you join us at the third last round of the season at Yas Marina Bay in Singapore. We should be in for quite an interesting race after an absolutely fantastic performance by the drivers last week in Italy. And of course, weather played a part in that qualifying session. Will weather play a part tonight? I know we have mixed opinions from the drivers on whether they want that to happen or not, but we'll just have to watch and see how the qualifying session goes. Obviously, last race was very, very interesting. We're just going to get all our data up on the left here. We'll probably get rid of the mini-map. I don't really like it. Even though I was campaigning for it after last game, I decided, you know what, I'd rather not have it, to be honest. Please rain just so we all crash, says Lakiti. But yeah, here we go. Should be an excellent race. Now let's have a look and to just watch who leaves the pits first. And it looks like it's going to be the Red Bull. I can't quite tell which Red Bull it is though. So we'll go down to Cohen. I think it is Cohen. Yes, it is. He's going to be leading us out. So we're going to ride on board with him to start off the evening. And of course, this is a 3.1 kilometer, 3.1 mile or 5.0 kilometer long circuit with an absolutely fantastic series of turns. Now, the thing with this race is that it is the longest race on the calendar, and that means that it's going to be difficult for the drivers. It's going to be to retain concentration. It's going to be a really long slog this evening, and we'll have to wait and see if weather plays a part in that. So let's just watch as Kern Blige heads around the circuit, and then we'll do an onboard hot lap with him. He's heading out on the hards actually. We'll get tyres out actually. Yeah, so hards are going to be what the bankers are set on, and this could mean we've got some differing strategies. Unlike in Italy, where I think only 2 people were on the alternate strategy of mediums to softs, it's going to be the other way around tonight, and it's dry in Category 3. I don't know about Category 1 though, so we'll have to wait and see. I think they might be keeping it a secret, just so we don't know how the race is going to turn out. But yeah, as I said, this should be a very interesting race, and we've only got 2 people left in the pits. That's just Sem and J. Cole. Everyone else is out on their out laps, so we should be getting going very shortly. You can see the Ferris wheel in the background, but under the grandstand we go at turn 13, or 18 rather, if you excuse my poor vision. Anyway, heading flat out through the last couple of turns then. Oh no, not quite flat out, obviously you've got to brake slightly. Very heavy on the downforce, but anyway, riding on board into turn 1, known as Shears. Heavy braking here, you can see him riding all the way to the left, then through turn 2, this is very complex, and into turn 3 already before turn 4 is this left-hand kink here, which is hardly a turn. Heading towards turn 5, and an exit here is vitally important due to it being followed by a relatively long DRS straight underneath the bridge there. Then into turn 6 and turn 7 of Memorial Corner, which is the tight left-hander, before flat out again on the run down to turn 8, the right-hander of Stamford, which leads shortly into Padang, which can be a very difficult turn. Then out of Padang towards the Singapore sling, which is not so much of a sling anymore. Which is, yeah, and then through turns 11 and 12, that chicane section there. You've got to be careful of the barriers, they are very tight. Then into turn 13, which is a turning, very tight braking zone onto a very long straight. That's going to be a prime opportunity for overtakes. But it's also very tight, so the driver's going to have to be very careful about contact. Anyway, through turn 14 of Connaught, then the left hand of turn 15, flat out through here towards turn 16, which is the right hander, followed by 90 left of Esplanada, heading straight on into Bay of turn 18, then under the grandstand through turn 19 and onto the last couple of corners, the 21 followed by 20 followed by 21, then on towards the last 2 turns of 22 and 23 to complete a lap around here of Singapore, obviously completely missing the apex of 23. Also, RLH Matty is out of the race, I've just noticed, but Kern Blige there with a 1:37.1, so relatively fast lap time there. We'll have a look down to see where other drivers are. We've got Simsy Danger here, he's currently on the hard tyres, but QVR Campbell taking a provisional pole with a 1:36.7, just ahead of Verstappen, who's on a 1:36.8. Seems the danger with a 1:37.1 there, just 5 thousandths of a second faster than Kern Blige. Lakitu up into second with a 1:36.7. We'll have a look down as other people move into the order. There's Marcus Short there with a 1:37.4, followed by Justice on a 1:37.5, and Kiviar Maledictus on a 1:46.0. He, of course, will be going for another lap at some point this evening. Here we have Nils Bosse, though, in the Mercedes. He's heading through turn 18 now of the Bay. Of course, we are at Yas Marina Bay in Singapore. Looking forward to the fireworks when we reach the finish line later this evening. And quite a lot later, as of course it is going to be a long race. Heading through the left-handers of 22 and 23, though. Here comes the Silver Arrow, and across the line it's going to be 11th place with a 1:38.1, sorry. Hopefully that doesn't become a recurring issue of me misreading the times. We've got LR Sem here, and we can't go up to Larkin for some reason. And across the line, LR Sem's going to set a 1:36.5. Very, very fast there. He's in fact 0.2 of a second faster than Campbell. And that means that his teammate of Cynthia Danger has got a lot of work to do. In fact, that's about 0.6 of a second he needs to make up. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, the drivers are on their hards. They might switch to softs or mediums before the end of the qualifying session. Only King David and Deneen and Dougie Falcons have actually set lap times on the soft, so we could see this all change. These might just be the banker laps. We've already had a third of the qualifying session, and we've still got a fair amount to go though. We've got other drivers out on track. As you can see, they all start to move back into the pit lane as we've got a McLaren there. I believe that is Lakitu, who might be going for another lap. I mean, in fact, he's crossed the line. He's taken pole there with a 1:36.4. Very nice from him. That might have a detrimental effect on his tyres though. As you can see, they're slightly more worn than the other drivers. We've got Sem here. In fact, maybe the strategy is a second hot lap. That might be beneficial for the drivers this evening. Some drivers are going back into the pits, but I think Sem's going to try and strike back and reclaim that pole position. No, he's not. He's actually gone down to ERS mode 0. But yeah, that's very interesting. For some reason, it's being a bit glitchy in the lobby tonight. Not quite sure what the cause of that is. We've got Drop there. He'll be going back into the pits in a moment. We've got Deneen there going into the pits. We've got Nils Bosse just behind him. Dougie Falcons behind a Renault there of Maledictus, I believe. Yeah, so we've got no one really on track apart from Lakitu and Sem, who've just finished laps. In fact, here comes Sem towards turn 22, and you can see him going into the pit lane there. It's very tight pit entrance, and that's going to cost a fair amount of time for the drivers this evening when it comes to the pit phase. We've got Dropier out on track, but we've got no hot laps going on right now, so we'll just watch Dropier as he heads through turn 13 of the no, that was not turn 13, well, that was the sling. It's very confusing with the green barriers, but yeah, as you can see, turn 13 there, very, very difficult but beneficial turn if you can master it, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of that this evening. But we've got Kern Blige. He's going to be out on the first lap of the second salvo here. He's on new hards, and he's going to be looking for a decent time this evening. He's currently in sector 1, I believe, or probably not actually. Heading up towards the next turn then. And you can see him going very, very fast. Heading through, I believe, turn 13, and then on towards Connaught of turn 14. I'll probably just stick to the numbers because the names around here are slightly weird, I'll be honest. They don't sound very Singaporean, but that might just be me. I don't actually know what language they speak in Singapore, which is something I should probably check. But nevertheless, we are going to be watching Kern Blige because he's going to be setting the first lap of the second salvo. Thus, we are going to ride on board with him. Turn 18 there and 19 now. Heading into turns 20 and 21. And it's going to be interesting to see if the drivers are going to be switching back and forth through that final section of turns before we head out on to the main straight again. It's all about maximising your speed onto here. We're going to ride on board again with Cohen. Heading through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can see him really using all of the track there. Hopefully we won't see an incident as we saw in Real F1 a couple years ago where there was quite the catastrophe at turn 1. And I don't want to jinx anything, but hopefully that won't happen. We'll have to wait and see though. The yellow flag's there in sector 3, not entirely sure why that is. And we'll have to see where the virtual safety car will come out. Will it come out in the first 2 laps like it has done I think every single race I've commentated thus far this season, we'll have to see. Or will there not be one? I highly doubt that. There probably will be a virtual safety car at some point this evening, due to the nature of this being a street circuit. Anyway, heading through turns 11 and 12 there towards turn 13. And onto the straight. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how this race pans out. And as we talk about that, let me just get the championship standings up. Of course, this is the third last race of the season, so every point matters now. We've got LR Sem, he's currently in at first with 167 points. Behind him by only 7 points is Lakitu on 160. Verstappen's on 150 with Simsy Danger on 106. So those top three are rather close, especially Sem and Lakitu. So we'll have to watch out for that during the race, because that's only 7 points. But to be honest, Verstappen's only 17 points behind the leader. So anything can happen in these last three races. We will have to wait and see. Of course, next week we've got Brazil, and then the week after it will be Suzuka. Following that, then we've got Dropye on 82 points, who's in 5th. Then Justice on 77, just 5 points behind. 10 points behind Justice is Larkin on 67. Then Kern Blige on 58. Mr. Skyzy on 45. Spaghetti Chips on 41. Marcus Short on 29. 4 points behind him is Campbell on 25. Matty and Danina tied on 20, with Maledictus on 6 points. Niels Barter on 4. J. Cole on 1. Gary Donegan, King David and Dougie Falcons yet to score points. So we saw actually last race that Sem overtook Lakitu for the championship. So that is really, really interesting. And we'll have to wait and see if Lakitu can fight back this evening. Of course, 7 points behind. That means a win this evening will, and Sem coming second for Lakitu, as it's looking like on the timing boards right now, would be extremely beneficial for the driver. It could, in fact, give him the opportunity to win the race and come drawing with Sem in the championship. So we'll have to watch how that turns out, and that could really spice up the championship as we head into the final 2 rounds in the next couple of weeks. Of course, this time in 2 weeks, we will be finding out who has won the Season 6 championship. We'll just go down and find out who's where, when, how and why. Here is Marcus Short. He's on 0 ERS deployment. So we'll have a look through, see who's doing what with ERS rather. I'm not sure what the ERS usage is like around here, but we're going to go with Dougie Falcons in the Toro Rosso. He's currently in 14th with a 142. No, he's not. He's up to 5th there with a 136.9. So just 7 thousandths behind Verstappen. That's a very good lap for Dougie. And he could be in quite a good position to fight at the start of the race. He's on those hards. And Larkin and J. Cole, the 2 pink bananas, are 17th and 18th. Neither of them have set laps, but it looks like they're going to be going out on the soft tyres, which is quite the gamble. And hopefully they won't double sack during the pit stops if they are on the same strategy. Let's have a look then. That is Sem just about to start a lap. And if we can't find anyone else, we'll have to hop back up to him. I think we will actually. Yeah, we'll go up to Sem then. He's fighting for pole here. He is just at 1.1 tenths of a second away from Lakitu and that pole position, that all-important pole position when it comes to a street circuit. So the Ferrari will be pushing very hard as he heads through turn 13 now towards turn 14. You can see the city of Singapore in the background. Very, very beautiful at night. And of course we are racing at night, so this should be absolutely fantastic this evening. Of course, it's always nice to have night races, and especially in such a well-lit track like this, with so many features to divert your eyes away from the action. Although I think everyone's going to be looking more at the cars on track than the buildings in the background. Anyway, we've got Sem heading through the last couple of turns now, up towards 22 and 23. No, he's going to go into the pits there, and he might go onto a different compound of tyres before he starts his next lap. So we're going to head down to Larkin, who's, I think, leading us here, heading through the next right-hand kink before heavy braking into that left-hander there. And you can see he's really revving the engine off of this car heading through the Singapore sling there. You can see quite an aggressive curve, and you're going to have to be careful about that. In fact, that might not have been the sling. I think this is the sling here, yeah. I'll try and not get those confused later on in the race, but you can see, yeah, the curbs can be quite aggressive at some parts on track, and that is something that the drivers are going to have to watch out for. We've got Maledictus as well. He's on a hot lap, or no, he's not. He's going into the pits, actually. But yeah, keeping an eye on that board is what we're going to be doing for the rest of the session. As you can see, the first few drivers are coming out on their outlaps now. One thing to mention is Larkin's actually on the medium compound, not the softs as I initially suspected, and that means that the strategy this evening is probably going to be a hard to medium from the drivers. So this should be interesting. He's going to go for the undercut this evening if he qualifies in the top 10, of course. If he doesn't, then he's free to choose whichever tyre strategy he wishes. But anyway, heading onto the main straight, across the line, it's going to be provisional pole with a 1:35.8. Absolutely fantastic lap there from the racing point. Heading down to Simsy Danger then, in the Ferrari. He's on the mediums as well. He's just starting this up as there are yellow flags in Sector 2. Anyway, we'll get back to the Ferrari at hand. He'll be looking to set a very good lap time. We're having a bit of a lag issue here. Hopefully this isn't persistent, and this might just be for Simsy. I'm not quite sure. It looks like it might just be with Simsy having connection issues, which is going to be a bit of a problem out on track. And you can see there, he's really lagging. Hopefully that sorts itself out in the next few minutes, because this is rather difficult for him to bear with. But you can see here, he's going to be looking for a good race tonight. And yeah, the lag is pretty bad for him. Hopefully that doesn't affect his race, or other drivers' races, more importantly, as it's very hard to race against a driver who could be anywhere on track. Larkin is on a hot lap though, so we might transfer to him in a minute. If you have any requests or anything, do let me know in the comments down below and I'll be sure to address them. But yeah, Simsy having lag, that is not ideal for him, and hopefully that's not on my end. I don't think it is though, because looking at other drivers it does appear to be fine. Yeah, so it might just be with this Ferrari, but we'll have to wait and see. And he's heading through the last couple of turns now, and once we finish with him we'll head up to Lakitu, who's going to be fighting for that pole position in just a few moments time. You can see just ahead of the Ferrari is Spaghetti Chips in his Renault, and that's hitting the barrier there for the Ferrari. That might not have any damage for him. It doesn't look like it. He's going to have to be careful about that during the race itself. Across the line there, it's going to be pole position with a 1:34.6. Absolutely blasting second place out of the park by 1.2 seconds. Absolutely fantastic lap there from the Ferrari driver. Onto Lakitu then in the McLaren. He's on the medium tyres there, and we'll have to wait and see what kind of lap time he can set. Obviously, that Ferrari is a fantastic lap time compared to what we've seen so far. Of course, we'll have to wait and compare it to the other drivers. As heading through turn 19 now goes Lakitu, and he's going to be heading towards the line. This is the main contender for pole so far, and so will Sem once he arrives at the line. And we've got almost everyone out on track apart from Deneen right now, and he won't be setting a lap time. Across the line though, Lakitu with a 1:34.5 taking pole, and Justice squeezing in third there with a 1:35.6. Heading down the order then, Larkin will be going for a second lap. We'll head down to someone in sector 3 as under the grandstand goes Campbell. I'm not sure if he's about to start a lap. I don't think he is. He's on 50% ERS mode, but it's only on mode 3, so that is quite interesting from him. Of course, the checkered flag is now being waved, really cutting those curves up into ERS mode 5, and across the line, he's not going to improve. It's going to stay as a 1:36.7, and he was just 1,000th of a second slower, it looks like, from his previous lap, unless that's a slight glitch with the timings in game, which I would not put it past Codemasters, unfortunately. But you can see everyone in the top few positions there is on the medium tyres. Dropye is in 4th now with a 1:35.420. Of course, that was the day yesterday, and it is, of course, this month if you speak American. Kurt Blige there just beating his teammate though with a 1:35.319. Larkin squeezing in between the two Red Bulls with a 1:35.3. Justice dropping down the order as Sem takes pole position with a 1:34.505, just 1/10 of a second faster than his teammate Simsy. Lakitu is not going for another lap. Simsy going back into the pits. Let's have a look for another driver out on track. It looks like Kernblige has actually finished there. Justice, he's on ERS mode 0, and it could just be Maledictus out on a lap. Yes, it is. He's heading through the last couple of turns now, heading through Bay underneath the grandstand, which are going to get a fantastic view of the fireworks come the end of the race. And across all of the corners goes Maledictus, and it looks like this lap might be invalidated for him. We'll have to wait and see. Across the line he goes, and he's not going to improve, and he's going to stay in 17th, which means that ILRT Matty is going to be in last, and that's not the greatest qualifying session for Maledictus. It just looks like he couldn't quite string a lap together, as Zakitu is retired from the session, just trying to get it over and done with now. But this is the Red Bull of Kernblige, who is in 5th this evening. But yeah, that was quite an interesting qualifying session, and let's have a look at the qualifying order once I for some reason get 500 XP. I'll probably reach level 12 at some point, but anyway, the top 11 are on mediums, but the qualifying order is as follows. It's LRSM on pole position, followed by Lakitu, Sims Danger, Verstappen, Kernblige, Marcus Short, Larkin, Dropye, Dougie Falcons, Justice, J. Cole, Campbell, Niels Barcer, Spaghetti Chips, King David, LR Deneen, Maledictus, with RLT Matthew running off the grid, having not set a lap. Those Deneen and King David on those softs, but everyone in the top 10 will be starting on mediums, whereas these guys just below will be free to choose their strategy, and that is going to have a severe impact on the race. So we should be in for quite a good one this evening. And category 1, it's going to be a rain-free race, according to Spaghetti Chips, which is pretty good. And it means that on a track like this, we're not going to have so many crashes, or hopefully not anyway. Curse of the commentator, I'm just going to touch wood there, because you never really know. But yeah, I'm excited for this evening's race. It's been a week since the last one, and a week feels like too long. We'll have a quick look at the Constructors' Championship before we start, because of course after last week it might have had a bit of an impact. Ferrari is still dominating though with 273 points. Between McLaren and Alpha though, there is just 5 points, so that is going to be very interesting, and Renault and Racing Point are separated by 2 points. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Haas and Mercedes, 6 points between them. So it is going to be very interesting, but I have to say, Ferrari have dominated this season. But let's get on to the track and let's get all our stuff ready. We're going to have the gap to the interval and position change ready before we get started this evening. This is your pole sitter, LRSM in the Ferrari. 31 laps to go this evening, which means we have a total of 155 odd kilometres before we see that checkered flag tonight. So quite a long way for the drivers to drive. It's more like 156, I think, but it should be an interesting race nonetheless. And of course, Singapore, always one to provide an exciting race. I know lots of the drivers have been looking forward to this evening, and Deneen has left the session. That's going to mean that if he can't rejoin before the start of the race, it's going to be the AI starting for him, and that's just never ideal. He is currently meant to be sitting in 16th, and the start is all important when you're at that position in the order. But you can see the drivers are warming up their tyres and brakes, as well as getting air into the engine and getting the engine to a regular temperature. You don't want to overheat the engine. I was talking to Simsy Danger earlier, and he said he's having issues with tyre overheating, and that could be an issue recurrent with lots of drivers, so we will have to keep an eye out for that, and that's going to cost them a lot of grip. Deneen has rejoined the session. Hopefully he can get back in the seat of his Williams before the start of the race, if all goes well. But yeah, as I was saying, tyre heating, overheating could be quite an issue for the drivers. We'll have to watch and see if that has any effect on the grip or the tyre degradation for those drivers, especially Simsy. He said he's got good pace, but he's just struggling with that tyre wear. Hopefully his internet is okay, as well as he appears to be mating with the Alfa Romeo of Verstappen, and you can see he's lagging ever so slightly, and that's a bit unfortunate for him. Hopefully that doesn't persist. But anyway, everyone lining up on the front and back of the grid for the third last race of the season here in Singapore. Deneen isn't quite back in his car as the final driver has lined up on the grid. Lakitu Asinzi has left the session. Anyway, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights are out and away we go here in Singapore. It looks like Lakitu might not actually be driving either, so we've got quite a calamity going on, and all the drivers seem to be ghosting, and I'm not quite sure why this is, but yeah, lots of interesting happenings here. I'm not really sure, but Simsy Danger is apparently leading the race, but he's not, and we've got issues with the timings board. Hopefully that gets fixed, otherwise we're going to have quite an issue with the rest of the race. Simsy Danger then side by side with Verstappen as they head towards the next turn, and Simsy goes through Verstappen as Paz goes curve right, but Simsy's not in the session. Anyway, we'll head back up to the top because it's Lakitu and Sem. So yeah, that's sorted itself out. I do apologise for that. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Heading through the next sector, though, goes Sem and Lakitu. Those two battling for position in the championship. And this race is going to be all important for them as they head to the final closing rounds of the shortened championship, where every point has mattered more than usual so far this season, and that trend will not let up this evening. Sem having a good exit there, though, and he's going to be able to stop pulling away from Lakitu. Heading down the order, though, we've got some side-by-side action going on lower down the order. Yes, we do. We've got King David and Matty absolutely side-by-side. Heading into turn 14, Matty goes around the outside. The nose of King David is in, but he's not going to be able to get the move done on that McLaren. And he's going to have to stay behind for now. Since Danger, with his connection issues, that's really had a severe effect on him. He's not going to be too happy about that, I will be honest. But here we go then. We've got Niels Barser and J. Cole, who are very, very close. And Sem does set the fastest lap so far with a 1:40.7. But that will, of course, change towards the end of the race as the drivers become lighter and they change to fresher tyres. But we will see how that all pans out. But yeah, I don't really know. I think we've had a couple server issues, but it looks like the race has sorted itself out again, and that's slightly distracted me. I do apologise. But Spaghetti, Chips and Campbell gained a couple positions. Oh no, Campbell lost, but Spag and Niels both gained positions there, as did Matty gain a few. King David and Deneen not having the greatest race there, or greatest start to the race. It's a bit too early to call it, I think. But do let me know your predictions for the top 3 in the comments down below, or anywhere else for that matter, and I'll be sure to go and check them out. But yeah, we've got Dropier here in the Red Bull. He's following close behind Larkin, heading through the next couple of turns, through turns 11 and 12. Towards turn 13, that very tight hairpin, and a lot of time to be gained and lost there. So let's see how the drivers can capitalise or lose on that turn. I think we'll go down to Spaghetti Chips though, because he's quite close behind Niels Barser. That gap is down to just 3.5 tenths of a second. Let's see what this banana car can do with Spag at the wheel. He told me he wanted to get in the top 5, I think, yesterday. We'll have to wait and see whether he can manage that. That might be false news. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure he said that anyway. But riding on board with Spaghetti Chips, he might have a look down the inside. No, he's not. He's going to have to back off from Niels Barser, but he's got the exit onto the main straight. He's side by side with the Mercedes. He's got his nose just about in. It looks like the Mercedes is slightly less downforce because it's quicker on the straight, but they're going to be side by side through turn 2 as well. Niels Barser going off the track there, and that means Spaghetti Chips is going to have to concede that attempt. But it's not going to mean he's going to give up. I think far from it, to be honest. He'll have another crack, perhaps on the straight. We're on lap 3 now, so DRS is enabled. You can see him activating it there, if somewhat delayed. Into the next turn, he's going to have a look down the inside, and Niels Barser has a slight contact, and this could give QVR Campbell the opportunity. He needs to get past, and this might not be a great lap for Niels Barser, but no, Campbell's going to have to back off there as he nearly had contact with the Mercedes. Good move there from Spaghetti Chips though, and Niels Barser was just slightly too close to pull off the switchback move on the Renault. But very interesting, and that leaves Spaghetti Chips just one position away from the points positions with another 27 laps to go. So we've got a long way to go this race. It's going to be a long haul, and the driver concentration is going to play a big factor, and that might lead to a couple incidents further on down the road. But we're going to go down to Justice there, who's overtaken J. Cole in his Williams. Or staying ahead, I'm not quite sure. It looked like J. Cole had gone quite close though. We've got Justice close behind Dougie Falcons. Dougie in 8th there. So he's going to have to look in his mirrors and try and defend from that Williams, which is coming up quite quickly behind him. We're going to head up to Drop Gate and Larkin for the moment though, because look how close they are. It's just about 0.3 of a second heading out on the exit of turn 4 towards turns 5 and 6. Through here then. With the DRS, he might just be able to make a move here, the Red Bull, although Larkin also has DRS. Towards the next turn, he's going to have a sniff of the inside line, but he's going to tuck himself back in behind that racing point and not go for the position there. But yeah, very interesting race so far, I have to say. Of course, the connection issues for Simsy aren't going to be very beneficial for him. In fact, let's have a look to see if he's regained connection to the server. It doesn't look like it, and that's very unfortunate for him, because he was very optimistic about tonight's race as I was speaking to him earlier. As Justice tries to go for the switchback here on Dougie Falcons. He's not quite close enough to pull it off, but along the straight, there's no DRS, but he has got the slipstream. There's the yellow flags in Sector 2. One thing I have noted, though, is that we've gone more than 3 laps without the virtual safety car, which is definitely a first for this season that I've commentated so far. As Dougie Falcons runs a bit wide, this could give Justice the opportunity. He needs to get past. He's going to have a look down the inside into turn 18, but he's going to have to back off. And I say that, Deneen has retired from the session, and there's a safety car. We didn't get a virtual safety car this time. We got a full-blown safety car there for Deneen. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It probably hit a barrier, but I know he struggled a bit. And we're going to have the first salvo of pit stops already, as look, there's contact there between Dougie and Dropye. But, yeah. Curse of the Commentator strikes back, as it looks like the two Ferraris, or I'm not quite sure what, but it looked like some double stacking going on. And the drivers are going to be held up in their pit boxes a bit now. So that could have a little impact on the race. But I know Larkin and J. Cole, the two pink bananas, are going to be first and second, with Spaghetti Chips in third following the safety car deployment. And we'll probably be behind it for a couple of laps this evening. So we can take a quick breather and have a look at how that has all impacted the race. With position changes, we've got Larkin and J. Cole in 6th, up 6 and 9 places respectively. Nice. Spaghetti Chips there, up 11 places, but it's been really good for Maledictus, who's up 12 places. Having a look at that, we'll have a quick look at the tyres, because those top 3 are on mediums, whereas up to 7 they're on the hard tyres. So those, and actually Lakito and Sem have pitted onto the hards, so they're going to be looking to go to the end of the race, and that could be quite an interesting battle. But those top 5 who didn't pit, they're going to be leading the races for now, or the race for now, but the safety car pit stop phase is going to have an impact on the race so far. As Simsy Danger there, his non-existent car on track without him in it. And got a bit of a lock up there from Verstappen, but this is the time where the drivers need to try and preserve their tyres before the safety car restart. And we'll have a quick look at the track map to see if everyone's bunched up. No, you've got just a lone King David a little bit further behind everyone, and ILR2 Matty actually. They just need to catch up a little bit. They should be able to do that by the end of the lap, I'd say, or maybe slightly later than that. Although the safety car queue doesn't travel very fast, as I think everyone knows, which is the whole point of the safety car actually, believe it or not, for safety. But we're going to head up to Larkin and J. Cole, because once the safety car returns, we could be in for quite a sub, but we're going to go on for at least another lap behind the Mercedes AMG SLS. You can see there, a bit twitchy, the AI driving that safety car a bit weirdly, but we'll let it slip. The drivers will be very anxious about the restart soon enough. As Matty's been overtaken by King David, I'm not quite sure. I think Matty's gone into the pits actually, so that that explains that. Simsy needs an invite. I just seen that. Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'm not sure if I can. Wait. I don't think spectators can actually invite people. I will have a look though, and do my best. I can't see him actually online, but no, it doesn't look like I can invite him, unfortunately. And that is really unfortunate. I know Simsy you can't join, but there isn't anything I can do, unfortunately. Not that I can see anyway. Simsy Danger. I don't think there's anything I can do. I'm really sorry about that, Simsy. But anyway, heading back to the action. Safety car is coming in this lap. If anyone is actually watching the stream in the background, if they are able to at any point, please try and invite Simsy back, because this is going to have a big impact on him. But anyway, heading through the turn 16 and 17 now. Before the restart, this should be interesting, as Kern Blige does a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Verstappen. I'm not quite sure what the cause of that is, but he's not going to be too happy about that. Anyway, heading back up to the top as Larkin prepares to set the pack off again. We've got the yellow flags of the safety car. He's really backing them up. Those two Racing Point, sorry, will be looking to try and maximise off the start. And there he goes. He is flat out. And let's see what Spaghetti Chips and Campbell can do. They are very close. The Haas right behind the Renault, heading towards turn 1 then. J. Cole going defensively. In fact, he's going to overtake his teammate Larkin. Spaghetti Chips looking down the inside of Larkin as well. And it looks like he's got the position, as it's not been a good start for Larkin, dropping 2 places there. Campbell right behind him. Looking out for Sem and Nikitu though, because those are 2 drivers we need to keep an eye out. As Sem has a look down the inside of Maledictus, he's going to have to back off. The McLaren not being able to make a move on there, and that's a 5-second penalty there for J. Cole, ignoring yellow flags. That is not something I expected to see, and that is not going to be very good for his race. As there we have Sem going round the outside of Maledictus side by side. It looks like the Ferrari hasn't quite got the position. Nikitu not being able to get past there either, and Sem does want to get past and try and create a gap to Lakitu, but look at that side-by-side action, a little bit of tyre wall hitting between the 2 drivers, a little bit of argy-bargy. I think we can excuse that. But Maledictus doing well there to keep side-by-side with Sem for quite a fair amount of that first sector. Heading through the next couple of turns now towards turn 13, Lakitu is going to be trying to make a move here on the Haas. You can see him going for the switchback. He's got the late apex rather, and I don't think he's going to be able to quite get the catapult out of that he was intending. And through Connaught, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get that position off Maledictus for now. And this is perfect for Sem, because he can start increasing that gap to Maledictus, which means that when Lakitu does overtake Maledictus, there will be a bigger gap. And Sims Danger has joined. Thank you so much for whoever invited him back. And here we go. Lakitu there trying to get past Maledictus, actually not being too successful, though Maledictus is maintaining a regular gap to Sem as he goes through turn 22. Look at this McLaren right behind. He's going to move to the outside for turn 1, which will become the inside of turn 2 if he can get it right. He might go for the switchback here. I'm not quite sure. They are very, very close. The dirty air is not going to be beneficial for the McLaren as Matty gets a time penalty down the inside. No, and Lakitu has backed off again, and this is not being good for his championship prospects. Sem is already leading the championship, and that means Lakitu needs as many points as he can get as he goes round the outside in towards turn 7, and we've got Verstappen. Oh no, that's QVR Campbell actually having a look around the outside, and it looks like he's got past Maledictus in the same move, as that's a Red Bull getting backed up heavily behind the Haas. And behind him is Marcus Short, who's going to be trying to make a move, and followed closely by Dougie Falcons, who's not had the greatest effect of the safety cars. Maledictus lets QVR Verstappen back through, and that's going to be Kern Blige going round the outside of the Haas as well, and that's contact, and that is Maledictus doing well to keep his car out of the barrier, as we've got Justice and Dropye having a real battle. I mean, Justice and King David, and that's King David in the barriers, there's contact, and into turn 13, and that's King David in the barrier, and that is really, really not good news. Niels Botts are just behind Matty, and look at that stricken Mercedes in the background there. He's not going to be too happy about that, but now it's time for Simsy Danger's recovery drive, as he has finally rejoined the session. Fortunately for him, the safety car hasn't affected him as much as it could have, although that's not to say he is fortunate, because obviously disconnecting is about the least fortunate thing that can happen. Heading through turn 19 then goes Dougie Falcons and Maledictus. Dougie trying to hold on to those points positions, trying to defend from Justice just behind him. Excuse the pun. But we're going to head up to Campbell, who's very close behind Larkin, but Spaghetti Chips leads the race following the restart. And we're on lap 9 of 31 here, not even a third of the way through the race. Already seen a fair amount of action, and King David has retired from the session as Simsy Danger heads into the pits now, and he's retired from the session. Unfortunately, that is an end to his race, a race that he was really looking forward to. But look at this, Campbell down the inside of Larkin. Can he get the position? I don't know, but Sem might be able to capitalise on these two battling. Campbell round the outside of Larkin. He's going to hold on to it as well. That racing point really battling as they head through the next turn. They're still side by side towards the barrier, really fighting tooth and nail for third position here. Fantastic racing from the drivers as we've just headed through the sling. Sem there, and Verstappen is really building up a gap now, and Nikitu's not going to be too happy about this, because that's a relatively big gap as Campbell tries to get this switchback done on Larkin, and it looks like he might be successful towards the next turn, and it looks like he's got the position, and that's going to be third place for the Haas, who's currently on the medium tyres, of course. Oh, on the hard tyres actually. Those hards beating the mediums at this stage of the race, which is slightly surprising. But yeah, we've got Campbell now in the third with a 4-second gap to J. Cole and Spaghetti Chips, so that's not ideal for him. But we've got Sem here behind Larkin, and QVR Verstappen is catching up quite quickly to Sem, but Nikitu's a second behind that Toro Rosso, Alfa Romeo, sorry. And we've got Larkin overtaken by Sem as Larkin goes into the pits there, and that's going to put Sem up into 4th place now, and he can just about see the hat of QVR Campbell in front of him now. And we've got Dougie Falcons overtaking Maledictus here. Let's see if Maledictus can try and get the defensive switchback. And no, there's another retirement, and that's RLH Matty out of the race as yellow flags in sector 1. I'm not quite sure what's caused him to exit the race prematurely, but quite a few DNFs going on here. As Kern Blige and Lakitu very close now. Lakitu, this race has just gone from bad to worse for him. And down the inside goes the Red Bull. Very, very good move there. I mean, Lakitu did leave the door open. Heading through the next couple of turns, though, Lakitu is just about defending from that Red Bull. And through the sling we go towards turns 11 and 12. But towards turn 13 where the exit is all important. Justice just get overtaking Maledictus there. Maledictus dropping down the order a little bit. He's not going to be too happy about that. He might try and get a move back done on Justice now. I'm not quite sure whether he's got the pace. It looks like Justice is actually pulling away, and now he's got Marcus in his mirrors, who's going to have a sniff of the inside line, but he's going to back off there. Not quite close enough to actually make the move. Maledictus heading through the next few turns. It's not been the greatest restart. He's still in the points though. Whether he can stay in is a question of his skill and of the race and its progression. Marcus Short there though, he's in 11th, and he's going to be really fighting to get that position as J. Cole has entered the pits, meaning Spaghetti Chips and QVR Campbell lead the race. Verstappen and Lakitu really dropping back. This race is not going well for the man who is second in the championship. But we will go up to Sem, who's behind QVR Campbell, and this could be second place. And those two, of course, haven't actually pitted, and they're both in front of him, although Campbell's probably a long way from pitting. having started on the hard tyres, which are 10 laps old at this point. Only Maledictus, Campbell and Spaghetti Chips have yet to pit, and Spag will probably pit in the next few laps, having started on those mediums. The hards would be a bad shout in a few laps' time. But yes, Sem will be fighting to get past Campbell here. Sem's tyres are 4 laps fresher, and we can see that the hards can probably go to almost the end of the race here, judging by the fact of the early pit stops, which is probably just about on the cusp of the limit of how far they can go. That safety car must have been perfectly timed for them any earlier, and I don't think they would have been able to do those pit stops. But yeah, that was a real curse of the commentator there with the safety car coming out after me saying, oh, we've gone away without a virtual safety car. But it wasn't to be. And I'm just going to have a quick glass of water, and then we can get back to the action. Maledictus there with a 3-second time penalty, and Deneen has left the session. He was out of the race from 3 laps in though. He caused that safety car that I was just talking about. So that's unfortunate for him. But Sem is going to be looking to get past Campbell sooner rather than later, so that he can try and hold off Verstappen behind him. And Verstappen is now the contender for second. Likitu for third. So that battle could emerge towards the end of the race, and it will be, well, not even towards the end of the race, for the duration of the race. We're not even halfway yet. We've just about surpassed a third of the way through the race, so we've got a long way to go, and that's what I was talking about earlier, just how long Singapore is, and you're going to see that concentration really come towards the end, and whoever wins will probably just be able to have the most stamina this evening, so we'll have to wait and see. But we've got Campbell, he's nearly conceding a position there to Sem, but Verstappen is right up the chuff of that Ferrari, and if Campbell holds up Sem for much longer, and that's Marcus Short having an issue, and that's a 3-car incident, and I think that's Maledictus as well, and yeah, that is not good. I think Dropye might have been involved. Has he got damage? I don't think so. That is yellow flags. Marcus having had such a good race compared to last week and previous weeks where he's really struggled. Hopefully he can get back to the pit, get it repaired, and try and carry on. He might even be able to get to the points because of the amount of DNFs we've had so far, and at this rate we're only going to have about 4 finishes, so hopefully it doesn't stay like that. But we'll just continue with the race for now rather than speculating who's going to crash, because that's not really very constructive to the outcome of the race. But we'll keep on board with the action here as Verstappen is close behind Sem. Spaghetti Chips though, he is leading the race, he's doing a good job of it. He's about holding off Campbell, relatively consistent gap of about 2.5 seconds. It might be going down very slightly, but it will probably be time for that Renault to pit in the coming laps. But yeah, Sem is closing up behind Campbell, and now this DRS could assist him along the straight. Let's see what the Ferrari can do. And that is Short going into the pits. He's obviously going to be trying to fix that front wing now. But yeah, Sem is really, really close to the back of that Haas, and he is quite desperate to get past now, because the longer he has to battle with Campbell, the more tyre wear he's going to experience. So this is not beneficial for him. It's also meaning that Verstappen can stay behind him quite easily, and it's giving Likitu the opportunity to catch up as well. That gap was 2 seconds just a couple of laps ago. It's now down to almost under a second, and that's going to be really helpful for Likitu and his prospect of winning the race. So we'll have to wait and watch whether he can catch up in time or not. Likitu, yeah, he is catching up quite rapidly actually, so that is good for his prospects of the race. And my glass of water has just been nicked by my dad to water the flower pots, which is quite annoying because I'm getting pretty thirsty here. So yeah, that's why I went silent for a second. But yeah, it's Sem in the lead. It has been returned, and yeah, Spaghetti Chips now making that pit stop that he was due to make at around the halfway point, which is what he has done, and that means Campbell is currently leading the race, and he will probably lead the race for the next few laps. He might even be able to stretch those tyres and try and go for a final stint on the soft, which would be that'd be a very good idea actually. because that will be heavily beneficial for him, considering the amount everyone else is going to be stretching their hards at the end. If he can really push on some softs, he might be able to make some serious positions once he finally makes that pit stop. But that probably won't be for another few laps at least, as he's being tailed heavily by Sem, Verstappen and Lakitu. But yeah, look at that gap, 420, ooh. From Verstappen to Sem, only momentarily though. But yeah, this should be quite interesting, and just waiting to see who finishes exactly where. I mean, we're almost halfway through the race now, so do let me know your predictions for the top 3 in the comments down below, because I noticed no one's commented yet. Don't ignore me, guys. Let's have a discussion about the race, or anything you find interesting, or if there's another broadcast, anything interesting that's happened on there that I may have missed, which is probably quite likely, because there's always a lot of action in this evening. It's kind of hard to keep on top of everything all the time. But yeah, Sem, he can't get past Campbell. Campbell's doing a very good job of defending from that Ferrari. You have to commend him. And yeah, that's given Verstappen and Lakitu the opportunity to catch up. And now Cohen, he might even be able to start catching up as well. Well, I think Dougie, he might be a little bit far away for something like that to happen. We will stay with these top dudes though, in case there are any opportunity overtakes that we miss if we veer away, which is something I tend to do a lot. So hopefully we'll see something good. But remember, Dougie is followed closely by Justice, and Drop 8 is very close behind Niels Barson. I think he's pretty much making a move there. You see him overtaking on the leaderboards. Unfortunately, we missed that. But J. Cole with a 3-second time penalty. In fact, I'm going to have a quick look at the race director, see who's got what kind of time penalties. Lots of warnings. It's very easy to extend the track limit. So Dougie Falcons has a 5-second time penalty. Cohen has a 5-second time penalty, as does J. Cole. 3 seconds for Niels Barsa. 3 for Matty. 3 for King David. 3 for Lakitu. 3 for Maledictus. 5 for Matty. So Matty's got a lot of penalties here. Maledictus with another 3, and 3 again for Maledictus with J. Cole there. So that's 3 seconds for Lakitu and 5 for Cohen. And what will be missed as a virtual safety car? What's happened here then? We'll have a quick look, and I think that might be Marcus. I'm not sure, he's quite far behind everyone. I don't quite know. I look away for one moment, and of course there's a virtual safety car. Now this could be, yeah, I was going to say, this could be Campbell's opportunity to make a pit stop. He's going to be going on to those mediums then, at the halfway point. So there he goes into the pits, and that means that we are in the fresh order. And he's going to be the only driver on medium, so we needn't really have the tyre information on. That's interval. But yeah, Sem currently in first. He might be able to take the win from pole this evening, as we've gone green again. And Lakitu is right up the chuff of Verstappen. This could be his opportunity to try and reclaim second place and start putting the pressure back on Sem. We'll have to see what he can do though. He has got the DRS, he's going to have a look at down the inside line, but he's not going to be able to make the move. Niels Barsa and Maledictus both going into the pits, and that is probably the cause of the virtual safety car, because it wasn't a very long one at all, I can tell you that now, even from not having been there. But Justice and Dougie Falcons really having a very close battle there, as Justice tries to go for the switch back. He can't quite get the move done though. They're very ferocious fighting between those two drivers, and we'll probably try and we'll stay with them for a little bit now before we have to inevitably head up to those top drivers. But yeah, through turn 13, very aggressive there from Dougie, and it's not benefited him. He ran a little bit deep into turn 13, and that's cost him a fair amount of time. He was very close to overtaking Dougie though. So yeah, Justice struggling to make an overtake, and of course it is a street circuit, which makes it very difficult, and quite a lot of the times on this track is very, very tight and windy, which really doesn't help the drivers in their attempts to make overtakes. But Cohen, even though he has a 5-second time penalty, he's catching up to those top 3, but that 3 seconds for Lakitu are going to have a massive impact on the end of the race if it stays as close as this, because even if he was in Sem's place right now, he wouldn't even finish in the top 3, I don't think. Or he might just, it all depends. But no, I don't think he would finish in the top 3, as Justice does make it past Dougie Falcons. Dougie actually off track there as they head through the first few turns. Justice just about holding on to that first place. Can he retain it though? Heading through the next turn, it looks like Dougie might have the exit. No, he doesn't, but he will have slipstream. And along the straight, that could benefit him. He's up the gearbox and around the outside he goes into the next turn. Can he get the place there side by side? And there's contact. Dougie runs a bit wide, just about catching that massive tank slapper he received from that contact. And nearly taking off Justice's front wing. Justice backing off there, and he's had to concede that position back to Dougie. So very, very nice battling between these. A little bit aggressive, but I think you can't really blame them. That is racing after all. And it's providing some good entertainment. One thing to mention though is Sem is really increasing that gap to Verstappen, and this is going to really benefit his prospect of doing well in the championship this evening. And this could be one of the first nails in the coffin for the championship. Although I don't want to speak too soon, so I'm just going to touch wood again, because absolutely anything can happen. We've still got about 14 laps to go though, but Justice having another move on Dougie. He's going to have a look around the outside. No, there's contact. He touches the rear gearbox, and that's a 3-second time penalty for the Williams. I don't think Dougie's got any time penalties actually. I might be wrong, but yeah, that is, I think, just outbraking himself there, the Williams, as there goes one of the brake marker boards that has dropped there. He might have been slightly put off by that flying piece of styrofoam I think they're made of actually. But yeah, Sem is really increasing that gap to Verstappen though. That is one thing I've noticed. That's almost up to 1.5 seconds. So he's really doing a good job on this second stint, or the second half of the race. That's a 3-second penalty there for Spaghetti Chips, who's currently in 8th, and that could put him down to 10th if the order stays as it is. But Justice is still very close behind Dougie Falcons. That 3-second time penalty though, he's not going to be too happy about that. That's part and parcel of the style of racing between the two drivers. They're going to head up to Lakitu and Verstappen though, because that gap is also very close, and it is for second place, although it's suddenly gotten bigger again. So we'll head back down to Justice and Dougie, who are really putting on a show this evening. But yeah, fantastic race so far. Maledictus with a 3-second time penalty actually. Where is he? That's about his 4th time penalty I think, so it's not going too well for him. But of course anything can change. Lakitu there with a 3-second time penalty. That's 6 seconds worth of penalties, and that's almost unrecoverable for him now, I think. It's highly unlikely that he's going to be able to take the lead by 6 seconds, especially at the pace Sem is going. And that is really unfortunate for Lakitu, but that might just be the race result for him. He might not even get on the podium as long as Kern Blige can stay a fair amount behind, although Kern has got those 5-second worth of penalties. So right now that's only really 1 second of penalties to the person behind him right now, as Dougie Falcons is overtaken by Justice in towards turn 1. But QVR Campbell sets the fastest lap. Of course, he's on those fresh tyres, those fresh mediums. That is going to be giving him the benefit. And in 8th, that could give him the fastest lap points. But Lakitu on Verstappen are side by side. Down the inside goes the McLaren on the Alfa Romeo, and it looks like he might have got the position. No, Verstappen is going to go for the switchback, but he can't quite make it, and that is going to be second place for now for Lakitu. Heading in towards the next few turns through the sling there, and it looks like, yep, Lakitu has got that position. We just about caught Justice overtake on Dougie Falcons. He's got quite a fair way to go ahead of him though to Kern Blige, so it might be a bit of a struggle to make up 10 seconds in 12 laps, although it is possible. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of pace he can set around it. It's more like 11 seconds in 12 laps right now, but quite a lot of work to do there. Now, I know Lakitu has got 6 seconds of penalties, but that's not to say Verstappen and Sem won't get any penalties at all. Although, to be fair to him, Sem is now 3 seconds ahead of Lakitu. I mean, that's a lot of time in the space of just a few laps. So that is some serious pace coming out of the Ferrari. Although, saying that, that might be having an effect, a negative effect, on his tyre lifespan. And that could mean in the closing stages his tyres will wear considerably faster than the other drivers, and that could have a severe impact on the result of the race. We're going to go down to Campbell there, going round the outside of Dougie as Dougie goes into the pit. Does he have penalties? Does he have damage? I wonder. Let's have a look. Into his box he goes. And it looks like he's going to be serving his penalties first. We'll go down to Verstappen then, because he's still close behind Lakitu. Cohen is not far behind either, and if Cohen can catch up enough, he might be in a good position to maybe even get a podium if he can really push it. But there goes Campbell flying past Justice, actually, dropping him down to 6th. But yeah, Dougie's now in 12th. I don't know if he had a front wing change there. I'm not sure. He's going to come out behind Marcus Short in the other Renault there. So, yeah, it's been quite an interesting race. Spaghetti Chips there in 8th, Larkin in 9th, and J. Cole in 10th. So they've had, starting from decent positions, Larkin and J. Cole. We'll have a quick look at the position change now. I mean, Larkin's down, but J. Cole is up. It's not been great for Marcus or Dougie, though, so far, and Marcus, Dougie and Larkin has only been a negative race. Everyone else has been good, especially Spaghetti Chips. He's up 6, but Campbell's up 7, so he's really on a considerable, formidable pace. But 11.5 seconds in 10 laps is going to be quite a stretch for, or 11 laps more like. It's going to be a stretch for Campbell, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to quite make up that amount of time. Although he is really pulling away from Justice behind him, actually, having just overtaken him. But that's going to have to be a second a lap for Campbell. Although he is on the softer compound of tyres, I'm not sure if that's feasible, even for him. We're going to head over to Dougie and Marcus, actually, because they are really, really close. It looks like Marcus is going to hold on to that first place for now. Or not first place in their little group, I suppose. And oh, there have been chats on YouTube. Don't know why it's not showing me them. I'm really sorry about that. I thought there weren't any. I do apologise, it usually gives me notifications on the top right when people chat. I suppose not today, but there goes Dougie Falcons past Marcus, putting him up into 12th. I do apologise about missing the chat, actually. I've just seen that the direct messages from Lord Elephant and Invisible. Top 3, Spag, Campbell and Verstappen from Lord Elephant. That was 12 minutes ago. Sorry, I'm sorry, I've just seen the chat. I do apologise, oh my god. Yeah, sorry about that, Simsy. I know... Simsy, if you're on... I'll see if I can invite you. I'll show you pens in a second, guys. I'll invite Simon to the party if he's on. It doesn't look like he's on to me, though. Maybe you're appearing offline, Simsy? If so, do let me know. But yeah, look, you can see in the top right, it's saying I've got no comments. I don't know what's up with that. I apologise. It's been a bit of a weird evening, I think, in all fairness. But Campbell's making decent progress. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Although with those time penalties of Lakitu and Cohen, he might just get himself into a position to go on the podiums. You never know. But you can see Lakitu and Sem staying about 3 seconds apart from each other. So, yeah, it's relatively consistent. Dougie Falcon's on quite a push, though. He's overtaken Marcus, and it looks like he's got Niels Barca next in his sights. He might be able to get himself back up into the points, although that's a 20-second gap to 10th from himself, which is quite an ask. And I'm not sure he will be able to get back into the points unless something happens above him, which in all fairness could very easily happen. So we'll keep with Dougie for now, unless there's something you guys would rather see. Yeah, I'm really sorry about the chat. I don't know what has happened there. What is going on with the stream for me? Yeah, I'll show you pens quickly. Oh, wrong button. race director. So we've got 5 for Dougie, 5 for Cohen, 5 for J. Cole, 3 for Niels, 3 for Matty, 3 for King David, who's out of the race, 3 for Lakitu, 3 for Maledictus, 5 for Matty, 6 for Maledictus, 9 for Maledictus, another 3 for J. Cole, 3 for Justice. Spaghetti Chips is on 3 seconds. Campbell's on 3 seconds, actually. I didn't realise that. Maledictus is on 3 seconds without the time penalty. You can just see in the background the battle between Dougie and the person in front. Lakitu on another 3 seconds, which is 6 seconds. 3 for Marcus and 3 for Niels. And I believe there's I thought that was a 5 second for Cohen. I might be wrong there, though. But yeah, Dougie Falcon's really close behind Niels. And it's quite an interesting battle, but I do think we owe it to Justice and Dropbeer to show them some love, because I think Dougie's had a fair amount of time in the limelight this evening, and it's got to give everyone else a bit of love. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the chat then, because you saw in that top right there was no symbols for chats, or there were no symbols for chats or comments. So I do apologise for that. I hope you can understand why I haven't noticed. But yeah. I'll have a quick look if Simsy's online. Doesn't look like it though. So yeah, we'll head back to the race. It was very interesting last week as well, because the whole thing was under an hour long. I've been sent a video chat by Simsy. I don't think I'm going to be able to open it now though. Sorry mate. If you... I don't know. Yellow flags in sector 1. Ooh. Ooh, and that is Justice facing the wrong direction through the first couple of turns. That's going to get Spag the position. And that could have a real impact on Justice, because he's got Larkin quite close behind him, sorry. Yeah, so this is really, really a weird race this evening. I have to admit, it's been quite an interesting race though. Had quite a lot of action, but it does look like, I don't want to say anything too soon, but it looks like Sem is primed to win the race. A lot of video chats coming from Sensi right now. Heading back to the race. You can see the gaps are beginning to extend now, so as we head through to the final section of the race, 6.5 laps to go. The closest gap is actually between Cohen and Verstappen, so we'll keep an eye out. We'll watch that for now. You can see on the left the gaps are beginning to spread out as we enter that final stage of the race. Marcus Short there with another 3 seconds worth of penalties. Smag will win. Go Lenny. Spaghetti Chips currently in 7th place. It'll have to be a miracle if he does. He's got 25 seconds to gain. 25 seconds in, let's call it 6 laps. X to doubt. No, I'm joking, I know. Yeah, Justice, he looks like he might have had another incident. He's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is just not ideal for him. And yeah, that race has just gone bad to worse for the Williams driver. And that's put Dougie Falcons though. As I was saying earlier, he might just get into those points positions. As I said, if something happened above him, he might get it. And look, he's into 10th now, so he'll be happy about that with Niels Boss behind him. But yeah, the race has just gone from bad to worse for Justice as Maledictus is out of the race. And that is going to be a yellow flag in Sector 3. I don't know where he's gone out though. And it's going to be the second safety car of the evening. As if the race wasn't long enough in Singapore already, we've got one final safety car which will close the whole field together. And the last 4 or so laps are going to be extremely dramatic, so do not tune out now. In fact, get other people to tune in, because we're about to witness an extraordinary end to the race. Although those with time penalties are probably not going to be too happy about this. And spaghetti chips. The chances of him winning. Oh, and there goes Sem into the pits, as is Lakitu. Everyone going into the pits. I'm not sure if it's making them do that. I don't think so, but it... Interesting. I think everyone's just deciding to go onto fresh tyres for the final part of the race. Here comes Drop the 8. He's going to follow suit as well. And Spaghetti Chips will probably do the same thing. Yeah, he is. I think every single driver is going to go onto the softs for this final push. This is an absolutely unprecedented race. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned for the final few laps here. And we've got J. Cole. He's going to go into the pits as well. Dougie Falcons nearly having a collision on the safety car lap. He will probably go into the pits as well. Though he's on those relatively fresh mediums. He might decide not to, he might not. It's up to him. But I think everyone seems to be going into the pits. There goes Dougie. And yeah, this is very interesting. This is going to be a fantastic end to the race. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers, Marlon, for spreading the word to the rest of RLH. This should be fantastic though. Justice not pitting actually, because of course he literally just pitted, but these drivers, oh, it's all hotting up as we enter the final laps of the race. Let's have a quick look then, see what's at penalties. So Lakitu is on 6 seconds worth of penalties. Verstappen 3 seconds, or 5 seconds rather. And Cohen on 3 seconds, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, that's actually Campbell there. Cohen's on 5 seconds. So I think it's 3 seconds for Verstappen, 6 for Lakitu. Sem, I don't think he's had a penalty. He's had, in fact, a really clean race. Although I think one more warning and it's a penalty for him. So, yeah, definitely buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone on the soft tyres. This is going to be a good race. I say it is going to be. We'll have most of it done now, but it's going to be a fine end to the evening. And it's going to show... Well, the drivers have been driving for quite a long time at this point. And this is just going to show their endurance capabilities towards the end of the race. We will have, if the safety car comes in lap 27, we will have 4 laps of flat out racing. It will be like an online lobby, except slightly less and slightly more exhausted drivers. And hopefully more professional racing. Spag top 3 incoming, warns Marlon. Slightly weird noises in the background there. But we can head back to the race. Lap 27, is the safety car coming in, or is it going to be 3 laps without the safety car? Keep an eye out for that safety car coming in this lap. This is interesting. The crowd are ecstatic, and so am I. You can feel the tension just building up before these last couple of laps. I can feel it just in the commentary box, and that's 5 seconds for Nils Vossa for a severe collision with Dougie, and safety car in this lap. So let's head up to the top. Heading towards turn 14 goes Sem. Has Dougie got any damage, or Nils? I'm not quite sure. That's unfortunate for the drivers though. But these time penalties are going to be very interesting. I'm going to have a quick final sip of water before we get going. Heading towards turn 18 now of Bay. You can see the Ferrari of Sem getting that final heat into his tyres and brakes. before we go. The safety car board flashing as we head towards turns 21 and 22. The pack being backed up all of the way. The two Red Bulls are side by side, and we await the green, keeping it backed up. Sem really waiting to the last moment, and he goes, away he goes, and let's get started after the safety car has gone in. A bit of a wiggle there from the McLaren, and Kvyat Verstappen is very close, heading in towards turn 1. Will he make a move down the inside? It looks like he's going to have to back off there. He's not quite close enough to make that move, but we've got Spaghetti Chips right up the chuff of Dropye, who's behind his teammate Cohen Blige, and he will be looking to make a move as well. So this is really unprecedented things to see here. Justice getting overtaken by J. Cole, or the other way round rather. Side by side they go, and it looks like J. Cole might just hold on to the position. I don't know. Justice has got a slightly better straight line speed than the Racing Point, heading in towards the next turn, and it's 3 wide. The McLaren of Niels Barca having a look down the inside, and there's a 3-second penalty for Niels. And look at that diamond formation of the drivers as Niels Barca tries to go round the outside of the Racing Point. There's a little bit of contact there. Down the inside he goes, and it looks like he might just be able to get past the McLaren of the Racing Point of J. Cole. It doesn't look like it, and there's contact, and that's lots of front wing damage to Niels Barca, having had contact there, I think, with Dougie Falcons and Marcus, and that is not ideal for their restarts. But Sem having a decent restart is 6/10 of a second, nearly 7/10 of a second ahead of Lekitu, who is 8/10 of a second ahead of Verstappen. This is really, really interesting, that battle down the bottom there, showing that everywhere on track there is action. We've already had 1 lap down, and this leaves just over 3 laps to go under these extraordinary conditions for an end of a race. And Sem retains the lead here in Singapore as they enter lap 29. It's going to be a 1:36.6 there, almost a qualifying lap time there from the Ferrari. And we're going to head into the final pushes with 3 laps to go around Singapore. Let's see what can happen. Marcus Short's all the way up into 11th. He might just be able to make it into the points. It all depends on penalties and stuff. Well, he is 6 seconds behind already, obviously, after those early incidents. But Sem is really pulling away from Lekitu. Lekitu is also about a second ahead of Verstappen, but he's a second behind Sem. So that kind of evens itself out. But these time penalties are going to have a severe impact on the end of the race, and I don't think we can say who's going to finish where until after they've crossed the line and those time penalties are added together. I'm not sure how many stewards reports are going to happen this evening, actually, because I don't think there's been too many incidents, apart from the ones that won't have as much of an impact on the championship, or the top of the championship anyway. Of course, the rest of the championship is very close. Dougie Falcons, though, down into 13th now, having dropped behind Niels Barca. Lekitu is slowly making progress on Sem, but no, not quite any moves, actually. I'm surprised there's been so few moves. Although saying that, Cohen Blige is going to have a look down the inside of Campbell. No, he's not. Heading it through towards the last couple of laps then. They might be saving it to that final lap to have that last ditch attempt at position, so that the other driver can't fight back. It's going to be a bit of a gamble for some of the drivers, but it might pay off. I'm not quite sure. Sem really pulling ahead, as is Lekitu. So yeah, it's really good pace from those two drivers. You can see they deserve to finish where they finished, but there's yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3, and I think that might be for Dougie. I'm not quite sure. DRS has been enabled though, and this is where things get spicy with 2 laps to go here at the Yas Marina Bay Circuit for the 3rd last race of the Season 6 Championship here in Category 1. It is all to play for, and that final podium position could be anyone's. Very much a grand national finish. It's any man's race now, and it is definitely a sprint to the end. Less than 10 kilometres to go. There's yellow flags in sector 3 as Dougie Falcons heads into the pit. It's just not been his race this evening. He did have quite a good race, but it's just not turned out well for him in the end, unfortunately, for the Toro Rosso. The sole Toro Rosso this evening, actually. But yeah, I am very interested to see how this race is going to look at the end. Oh, and that looks very interesting for Verstappen. It looks like he's had a bit of oversteer there through turn 13, and that could have cost him a bit more than it did. He's very fortunate to have gotten away with that, because you can see the amount of slide coming from his car on that off-board camera at turn 13 though. We are heading into the final sector before we get set on the final lap of the race. We still don't know who's going to get this podium position. It could be Verstappen, Campbell or Cohen Blige, or even Drobier if he can really push that final lap. It's going to be so close. Verstappen is now 2 seconds behind Lakitu, who's 1.5 seconds behind Sem. Sem absolutely pulling one out of the bag at the end here. Lakitu not doing a too bad a job himself. But anyway, heading on to the final lap of the race. And what a fantastic end to a race it could be. We don't know who's going to finish where, and we're going to go down to Campbell, who's trying to get past Verstappen as we head towards the last lap of the race. In fact, we're on the last lap of the race. I'm really excited right now, as you can tell. I can't even formulate proper sentences. Here comes the Haas though, and it looks like Verstappen's gone slightly wide, and this could give the Haas the opportunity he needs. He's got the DRS, he's got the ERS, he's got the Slipstream, he's going to move to the outside. This could be third position for Campbell, and it looks like he might have the position. Round the outside he goes, and he's got the position before the braking zone has even begun. Verstappen tucking in back behind the Haas, but will he hold on to it? That is the real question. We've got Cohen Blige though right behind Verstappen, and that is very close between the drivers. So he's going to have to be careful of that as well. So Campbell's in third. Can he hold on to it? I don't even know what's going on with penalties anymore. But Cohen Blige very close as we head through this thing behind Verstappen. He could still try and get that position. Of course, the time penalties are going to have a huge impact on the end of the race. But what a fantastic end it could be. As we go through turn 13 there, you look how close the drivers are. Larkin behind Spaghetti Chips. So close behind the drivers. But do let me know what questions you want to ask in the podium interviews as we head towards the end of the race. I think we're going to have to go up to Sem now though, because here come the fireworks as he heads into turn 18 for the final time this evening. And out we go, riding on board. The fireworks are just about to get set off, heading through turn 21. And towards the line through 22 and 23, the Ferrari takes the victory here in Singapore. Absolutely fantastic race, followed by Lakitu. Campbell's going to get second. Verstappen in the... Oh my goodness, and it's going to be a double Red Bull podium there. Who saw that coming? Those time penalties having an absolutely infallible impact on the end of the race. And I did not see either Cohen or Drobier getting a podium, but both of them have got them. And that goes to show what having a clean race means. And what a fantastic end to the Grand Prix. I mean, I'm out of breath. And I'm not even racing. So these drivers must just be absolutely on the edge there. I don't think we've ever seen a finish like that. The last 4 races governed by drivers on soft tyres following a safety car. And Niels Boss getting a 5-second time penalty there for an unserved penalty. And Dougie Falcons, he will be the last driver across the line. But you can see the fireworks are out in force here at Yas Marina Bay. But what a race. Absolutely fantastic. You can see they are going absolutely fantastic, mental, and those fireworks just look so nice in this game. And across the line he goes. But we're going to head down to the race leader of LRSM. Do let me know what questions you have for the top 3, because I'm pretty sure you've got a few. Not Yas Marina. Oops. Sorry, it's just Marina Bay. Yeah, I do apologise for that. But it's not my fault they have similar names. But that is Sem on the top step. Flanked by those 2 Red Bulls. I'm going to need to sit down off that. I can tell you, if I was sitting down on a sofa, I would have fallen off multiple times during those last laps. I mean, that was absolutely insane. And before we get to the podium interviews, let's just have a quick race rundown. Once I get some 2,500 XP, I'm going to be level 12 by the end of the season, and I won't even have raced for most of that level. But anyway, the finishing order, it's going to be Sem, Cohen Blige, Drobier, Campbell, Larkin, Lakitu, Verstappen, Spaghetti Chips, OLR, DJ Cole, Justice, Marcus Short, Niels Boss and Dougie Falcons. The DNFs were Maledictus, Matty, Simsy Danger, King David and LR Deneen. What a race. Absolutely fantastic. Now, let's see. I'm not sure which ones of them I have as friends. So, Cohen Blige and Sem, and Drobier, rather. So, Sem first, of course. HIJKLMN. I don't think I actually have Sem as a friend, but do I not have Drobier or Cohen? I do have Drobier. I'll invite him once I've invited Sam. Where is Sam? View profile. Alright, this is Drop Yay, but it doesn't really matter. Oh no, it's Sam. Just let's invite him to the party. Do let me know your questions down below. And I will invite the other drivers. So Drop Yay. And QVR Cambridge. I don't have him as a friend. Where is he? There he is. View profile. Yeah, do let me know those questions down below. Welcome, Drop Yay. And we'll start. Just give me a second. I've just got to get off this screen, and then we can get going with the interviews. So, what a race. We'll start with Sam. How do you feel about that?
Oh man, oh it was fun. I mean, I'm happy that I won, and yeah, it was yeah. I knew the Keith had some pace, decent pace here, so I knew we would be fast and we'll be battling him. But I know what happened to him on the first stint. He dropped off by a few seconds, but I think we have equal pace. I mean, for a few laps the gaps was 3 seconds all the time. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about that safety car and then those last few laps?
Oh yeah. I knew I had to pit for soft and don't mess up this safety car, like a few races ago. And I knew everyone will be bunched up again, so many people had a chance to get a podium or a win. So I had to get a good restart and then get them out of my DRS, and that it worked out. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And then we'll move on to Cohen then. How did you feel about that race?
He's not in the party.
Is he not in the party? Is he not? I thought I invited him. So no, maybe he doesn't have a mic or something. Alright. I'll invite him again. I mean, he's just sent me a friend request, so I'll try that. Wait, let me just invite him and then we can continue. Okay, we'll just go into your drop there then. How did you feel about that race?
Well, it went quite bad the first 2 stints, and then the safety car really saved it for me, because I knew everyone in front had pretty much gotten at least 3 seconds. So
yeah. Before the safety car came up, did you see yourself getting a podium this evening?
No.
Do you have anything else to say, or should we move on to Cohen?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright then. Cohen, finally, how did you feel about that race?
I liked it. I like Singapore always, and yeah, it went well. Didn't get a penalty, and both Red Bulls on the podium, so I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What was your reaction when that safety car came out? Those last lap 20,
well,
whatever.
At first I didn't like it because I had a 5-second time penalty that I had to serve, but I only lost 1 position, and it didn't really matter in the end. So in the end it helped me. So yeah, it was good.
Cool. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, congrats to Sam on winning.
Thanks. What's next?
Next is Brazil, I think.
No, Suzuka, garbage.
Oh, alright. Alright then, we'll end the stream there. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race, and I will see you next week.